Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So you guys requested a most powerful characters video, so let's break this down. What I did for the purposes of this list is combine characters that have great power and characters that have great magic. So power is a very relative term, so this is sort of a combination. You could actually break it down to most powerful generals, most powerful non-magic people, so this is an amalgam of that. There's a new round of the Game of Thrones giveaway. I'm giving away one of the enhanced editions of the books. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. And I should also say these characters are people who appeared on the show or in the books recently. So I didn't include like very big historical figures. So here we go, top 10. Khal Drogo with his full Khalasar, about 40,000 people on horseback. The reason he made the list over people, say like the Reach, who could command upwards of 80 to 100,000 troops, is because a Dothraki on horseback or even a Blood Rider is so much more effective than a regular infantryman from the Reach or anywhere else in Westeros. So say things had gone down differently during season 1 of the show, Khal Drogo still lives, they're able to take his Khalasar to Westeros. They would have been able to mow through most of the villages and cities in Westeros. Now, some would be harder than others, like it would have been much harder to take the Red Keep or even Casterly Rock or any of the big castles that are heavily fortified. But the thing is it's not just their effectiveness on horseback, it's their battle tactics, their slash and burn tactics, so they can mow through a town, set everything on fire, and move on to the next one very quickly before any of the lords are able to marshal their troops. So think of the Battle of the Bastards. It took time to get all those troops together to organize them on the battlefield. Dothraki just roll right in, burn everything to the ground, and move on to the next town almost immediately. Number 9, speaking of mowing down people, the Whites, just the collective body of Whites. They are unyielding. They're literally creatures of magic that are already dead. Very hard to kill. Even if you slash them, cut off their limbs, they'll still come at you. And they have a force that's growing to be almost as large as that of the Reach. In every new battle, feeds their ranks. The Night King can just raise more anytime he wants, en masse, all at the same time. That was what that scene from season 5 was all about. You kill a bunch of my troops, well, all those people of yours that I killed, I'm turning them into my troops now. So not only is my army bigger, it's growing at a faster rate. Number 8 is Quaithe, because we haven't seen too much of her power displayed, but she's a Shadowbinder like Melisandre from Asshai. So they're both servants of the Red God, and even though all their powers are just a little bit different, they have relatively the same powers. So if you have the ability to bring someone back to life or call forth the might of the Red God, then you are instantly bumped on the list, which is why number 7 is Thoros of Myr, who in the books raises Lady Stoneheart Beric Dondarrion 6 times. How many times did the Lord of Light bring him back? 6 times. I only said the words, it was the Lord that brought him back. So even though he's a bit of a drunkard and actually lost his faith for a while, he was actually sent to King's Landing to try and turn people to the faith of the Red God. So he was a great failure in that sense, because Robert Baratheon was never going to worship the Red God. He could care less about religion. Once Eddard Stark hears about the atrocities in season 1 committed by the Mountain, he sends Beric Dondarrion out to execute him on the orders of the Hand of the King. Remember, Ned's still alive at this point. So he goes after him, but the Mountain kills Beric, and that's when Thoros unwittingly resurrects him for the first time, and that's what reignites his faith. So then he goes on to resurrect him 5 more times after that. And even the other characters, so just sparing spoiler from the book for the people that are still reading the books. So next one on the list, number 6, Melisandre, even more powerful, has most of the same powers as the other Red Priests, the other Shadowbinders, raises Jon Snow from the dead, can birth shadow babies from those of royal blood, can cloak her appearance using glamour magic, and there's so many other things that they haven't explained. They're purposefully very mysterious on the TV show, and even George R. R. Martin has only hinted at the type of sorcery that they practice in Asshai. It's largely regarded as the center of magic in Westeros, so it's sort of like a citadel for magic users, whereas the actual citadel, which is the center of knowledge in Westeros, really hates the idea of magic. Just 2 diametric opposite centers of learning in the world. Number 5 is Daenerys with all 3 of her dragons, assuming that they're at full strength and one of them isn't hurt. So she falls lower on the list if she only has 1 dragon, but like for most of this list, I assume no handicaps. So 3 dragons, also a certain measure of blood magic in her herself. Now, a lot of you have noticed that TV show Daenerys is actually more powerful than book Daenerys. The big difference is that in the books, she's just not constantly fireproof. So during season 6, when she kills all the cows by setting the tent on fire and then just walks out completely unburnt, even her hair isn't burnt that much. She's got a little soot on her, but that's about it. That would only have been able to happen in the books if somebody had invoked blood magic like Mirri Maz Duur did during season 1 when she was trying to save Khal Drogo. So a price was extracted, life for a life, and that's what helped raise her dragons. That's what helped hatch them, and that's what allowed her to survive that fire. So it's a long-regarded myth that all Targaryens are immune to fire. You may have heard the story about one of the mad Targaryen kings who believed himself a dragon, so he ate wildfire, like he literally drank it, and it burned him like a dry piece of kindling. That was Aerion the Monstrous, one of the sons of King Maekar Targaryen. So he was also one of the mad kings, one of the really terrible people, who actually is going to appear in a story that George R. R. Martin is writing later this year. So we can actually come back to him. Some of the mad Targaryen kings are like the mad Caesars. They have this really amazing story that's super WTF, did just crazy things many hundreds of years ago before what's happening on the show right now. So coming towards the top of the list, these are all relatively close. Like there isn't a big disparity between these, but number 4, the Children of the Forest, probably some of the most powerful magic users, or used to be some of the most powerful magic users in the world. Most of them have died off. The TV show has really cut down their story. There's a lot more of their history that you talk about when you get into the war with the First Men, the war with the Andals, how they smashed the Arm of Dorne with the Hammer of Waters, the Isle of Faces, which is this really mysterious place with all these weirwoods. That's where they signed the treaty with their first big war with the First Men. They have this really deep connection with nature, the old gods. Most of them are green seers. That's actually something that flows from them. So there's a lot of theories about how that got into the genetic DNA of the Starks, how Bran became a green seer. But even with all their powerful magic, there just aren't enough of them to fight the Night King, their creation, who has become more powerful and terrible than they are. So number 3, the Night King. The way the TV shows portrayed him is that he is the only Night King to have existed, even though the books hint that there have been several over the years. Just the way they're created with the dragonglass dagger to the heart indicates that you could create another Night King if you really wanted to. So he's the weapon of mass destruction that has all the same abilities as the Children of the Forest, draws on the same type of magic, but has absolutely no regard for life. All he's created to do is to end life. He is death incarnate. That's his only purpose. That's why they created him during the war with the First Men. But they lost control of him. Now he's killing everyone without regard for anything until there is no life left. Never-ending nuclear winter. There's still a lot of theories about how he brings the winter with him and how the winter just precedes him. So the show might answer that a little bit, but they tend to be kind of vague. So the books will probably give us some more context for that during Winds of Winter and Dream of Spring. Number 2 is Bran Stark, who is now the new Three-Eyed Raven. The problem is that even though he is the most powerful magic user on the show, he doesn't fully understand everything. He has the sum total accumulated knowledge of all of Westeros. He's literally a living Rolodex of everything that's ever happened. So it's like you're thumbing through a card catalog. He just has problems accessing all those memories, putting them into context. So that's why he's not at the top of the list. But the whole idea is that he's going to pick out the most important stuff for fighting the White Walkers, learn the history of the world, how they were created like he did during season 6, and then learn how to stop him with the tools that he has available to him. So he needs to learn all about Daenerys, then start actually working with these people to marshal forces against the White Walkers. But number 1 is hands down the Blood Raven. So may he rest in peace. But he just had all the powers that he gave to Bran, but he'd had hundreds of years to learn how to use his powers. The big weakness is that he had reached the end of his lifespan. Like he sensed that he was eventually going to die. He's not immortal, but he is extremely long-lived. So the same thing will happen to Bran if he's not killed himself. He could live a very long life just living on that pace that the Children of the Forest feed to the Three-Eyed Raven. But that all just depends on how you think the story is going to go down, who's going to be left alive after they're finally able to defeat the Night King. But let me know in the comments, who do you think the most powerful character is on the show, alive or dead? Like Aegon the Conqueror is more powerful than Daenerys. He was just much better with his dragons. He'd had more time to learn about it. He grew up with dragons in a way that Daenerys did not. The Blood Raven had all kinds of powers that we haven't seen Bran demonstrate yet. That's going to be one of the most exciting things, seeing him unlock all those extra new abilities. I know everybody's wondering about bringing the wall down. So Night King, Bran, Blood Raven, probably the three most powerful characters on the show, sort of tied in terms of power levels, but the Bloodraven just had more time to study his abilities. So if you want to recommend a bonus video for next week's Game of Thrones, just let me know in the comments. A lot of you were asking for a video about like the biggest characters that the TV show has cut out. Congratulations to last week's Game of Thrones giveaway winner, the Morningstar. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. What's going to happen tonight is I have that new Walking Dead episode video, so I will see you guys when that posts. While you wait for that, you can click here for new Star Wars Episode 8, and you can click here to learn all about the Stark's history with the Night King and the White Walkers. Thank you so much for watching. Let's high five. I'll see you guys in the next video.